This is AI Storytime, classic stories retold through AI-generated images. Rings, magic rings. There were loads of magic rings in Middle-earth, but the most magical and powerful of all was made by the Dark Lord Sauron. No, he wasn't a car. Yeah, okay, that'll do. It was so powerful that elves, dwarves, and men, who usually hate each other, united to stop him. They fought an epic battle outside Mount Doom, but in the end, Sauron wasn't so tough. All it took was for Isildur of Gondor to cut off his ring finger, and the guy just crumbled. And so the One Ring was lost for generations. Apart from those brief couple of hundred years it was owned by Gollum, but we'll get to him later. Finally, the One Ring came into possession of Bilbo Baggins from the Shire, who mainly just used it for party tricks. Eventually, Bilbo decided to move to a retirement home in the elf country, so he gave the ring to his nephew Frodo. And poor Frodo didn't even have the time to get the ring valued before the wizard Gandalf turned up and told him the ring possessed terrible power and sent him off on a journey to destroy it. Luckily, Frodo was allowed to bring a couple of friends along. There was Sam Wise. That's better. And look, he's already holding a potato. There was also Mary. No, not Merry Christmas. Mary Brandybuck. That'll do, I guess. And finally, Pippin, who was in a hair metal band, or maybe a pro wrestling organization. Anyway, the 4 hobbits, hold on, those are the Beatles, and there are 5 of them. Let's try that again. Close enough. They ventured outside the Shire, narrowly escaping the Black Rider. They also potentially run into Tom Bombadil. It really depends which version you're into. Anyway, so the hobbits arrive at the village of Bree and learn that Gandalf never made it there because he got into an argument with his manager, Saruman, who for some reason loved throwing up gang signs. Anyway, Saruman had decided to sell his stake in the wizard enterprise to the Dark Lord Sauron, who was still alive in the form of a giant eye and was trying to reclaim the One Ring. Anyway, back to Frodo and the hobbits. They meet Aragorn, who escorts them to Rivendell, but unfortunately Frodo ends up getting stabbed on the way there by the Black Rider. But that's okay because the rider and his friends then end up getting run over by these horses made of water. Frodo is taken to Rivendell, home of the elves, where he meets Gandalf, who survived his workplace tussle and escaped on top of a giant eagle. No, not a pony. Okay, sure, he escaped on a motorcycle. Facing the threat of both Saruman and the Big Eye, Lord Elrond assembles the Fellowship of the Ring, made up of the hobbits, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Sean Bean. The Fellowship is tasked with journeying across Middle-earth into Sauron's backyard to destroy the One Ring. Also, before they set off, Frodo goes to visit Bilbo at the retirement home, and Bilbo gives him his old t-shirt as a present. The Fellowship's journey takes them deep into the mines of Moria, which have been overrun with orcs and a troll. On their way out, the Fellowship are confronted by the Balrog. Gandalf fights the fiery beast while the rest of the squad escape out of the mines and into the elf forest. The Fellowship rest and chill for a bit. Meanwhile, Frodo watches some TV on a big plate filled with water. Back in Isengard, armed with new venture capital funds from the Big Eye, Saruman begins growing an army of Uruk-hai, and he sends the first batch after the Fellowship to bring back Frodo and the One Ring. Meanwhile, the Fellowship have resumed their journey, this time on boats. They stop to camp for the night when Sean Bean tries to take the ring from Frodo, but then he remembers that he's a good guy after all and dies during the Uruk-hai attack. Frodo escapes on a boat and decides to take the ring to Mordor on his own, but Sam insists on tagging along. Meanwhile, the Uruk-hai get the wrong hobbits in Merry and Pippin. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli realize this and decide to go after them. But that's a story for another time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos.